I have spent so much time hiding. Like, I'm a little hermit crab tucking myself inside my shell to protect myself from being perceived. And I have had so many friends, therapists, inspirational graphics on Instagram tell me over and over again that it is not my job to monitor and control people's perceptions and opinions of me. But as much as I want to believe that, I just can't. I think this is part of my experience of being autistic, particularly being autistic and born female and late diagnosed and high masking and traumatized. And I have a hard time remembering a version of myself where I didn't feel this way. When I first got my diagnosis at 23, I breathed a sigh of relief because I finally understood parts of myself that have never made sense. I could begin the process of unmasking and begin showing up authentically and accommodating myself, and I did all of that. But I also developed this need to prove that I was independent and capable and not disabled by my disability, which is so silly. I am, in fact, disabled by my disability. It's why I sought out diagnosis in the first place. And despite that, despite my efforts to unmask and accommodate myself, lately I have been feeling more disabled than ever. I think it all lies in this problem of perception and feeling like I have to control the perception that other people have of me. I firmly believe that I would not have the career I have now if I was my 100% authentic self. And still to this day, I'm not even sure what my 100% authentic self even looks like because I've spent so long masking and people pleasing and making myself into whatever I needed to be to feel accepted and safe. But I can say with confidence that a lot of people would dislike that authentic version of me. And yeah, I know that's not saying much. People are going to dislike any version of me because I can't appeal to every single person on this planet. But I think enough people would dislike my authentic self to the point that it would disable me even more. And I would not receive nearly as many opportunities as my highly masked self has. I think this is the paradox of high masking autistics. The more we mask to be accepted, the more we lose ourselves. But the more that we embrace ourselves authentically, the more challenges we face from the outside world. So it's this battle between an invisible internal struggle that feels like it's breaking you down little by little, or an external social struggle that can contribute to more judgment and isolation and lack of opportunities. I first sought out diagnosis after I had a really shitty job experience where for like 8 months, I felt like I couldn't do anything right. There was no clear expectation set for me in a way that made sense to my brain. I was constantly having communication issues, sensory overwhelm, and I received consistent feedback that I wasn't working hard enough or fast enough, even though I was pushing myself so hard that I would cry almost every day in the car before and after work. And after months of struggling and trying to figure out what was going on with me, I left that job with no backup plan, and I paid way too much money to get an autism assessment, in part so that I could ask for accommodations at future jobs. Spoiler, I have not asked for a single accommodation at any job since getting my diagnosis. And again, I think this comes back to this problem of perception. I don't know myself very well as an autistic person because I spent so much of my life people pleasing and ignoring my own needs that I don't even really know what my own needs look like, usually until it's too late and I'm burnt out and melting down. Even though I know I'm autistic and I simply cannot function in the same ways that neurotypicals do, I still push myself to function at levels high above my limitations to prove myself, especially after having so many experiences of being told that I'm not doing enough or working hard enough. When I start a new job, I work extremely hard. And that is extra effort that I put in on top of the extra effort it already takes me as an autistic person to adapt to new social dynamics, daily routines, and professional expectations of a new work environment. I mask so fucking hard in a new workplace, especially because I work in customer service. And I think I've gravitated towards customer service because I have put in extreme amounts of effort to be good at social interaction through masking. But it's exhausting. And like clockwork, almost every single job I've ever worked, I've burnt out at the 6-month mark because I just can't sustain it. And at that mark, I consider whether I should ask for accommodations, and almost every single time it doesn't feel worth it. I think despite having a formal diagnosis from a medical professional, people don't take my autism seriously as a disability because they see the output of me functioning far beyond my limitations and assume that that's my norm because that's all they've seen of me for the 6 months that I've worked with them. And then they're surprised when I say, hey, this isn't sustainable. Like, I need to peel back and get some support. And they don't want me to peel back. They want me to keep producing for the business at the same rate that I have been because it benefits them. And figuring out appropriate accommodations for any workplace that isn't just an office job is very difficult. A lot of suggestions for accommodations that I've seen or heard from other people would not be realistic for my current position. A lot of the things that I require, like a consistent schedule, consistent and clear daily expectations, and regular breaks after customer interactions, just don't really feel possible with the way that my job is inherently structured. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of that because this video isn't about this specific job and what accommodations will and won't work. It's about this feeling that I can't even ask because historically, when I have brought up the fact that I am disabled, I have genuinely been scoffed at. Because from a limited outside view, I don't look disabled. And maybe that's partially my own fault because I've worked so hard to mask and not be perceived as disabled. So now I'm checking back in with myself and almost going through this whole unmasking process again, 3 years after being initially diagnosed. I can't live in denial of my limitations anymore because this pattern will just keep repeating where I push myself too hard and inevitably burn out. And even just posting this video, being honest about my struggles as a high masking autistic person, I am so scared that I will once again not be taken seriously, that because my suffering is not outwardly visible, other people will deny me empathy and support. And I worry that the more visible that my autism becomes through unmasking, the more people will think this is an act I'm putting on to look more autistic, when the real act is how I've shown up my entire life up until this point. The truth is, I am a fraud. The Liz I have always been, a carefully chosen combination of traits that change based on my environment and the people I spend most of my time around. And now I have to untangle who I really am from all of these false created images of myself. And I'm already so exhausted from being burned out that it's like, there is a part of me that just like is naturally unmasking because I don't have the energy to keep up the mask anymore. And then part of me who doesn't even have the energy to continue to show up authentically because I'm just not showing up. I'm just like isolating myself and not leaving my house outside of going to work because I'm so tired. Anyway, I hope that if you're watching this and you've gotten this far in this video, that you have resonated with some of what I've said. I'm sorry if you've resonated with a lot of the hard stuff that I've talked about, but we are in this together, and the only way things are ever going to get better is if we are open and vulnerable and share our stories with each other and create the empathy in the world that we want to see for autistic people of all need levels. So thank you so much for watching.